Starting us off at number 10, we have the sounds of Saturn. Ever since Earth's Voyager flew by, researchers have noted the cosmic storms that take place on Jupiter. There is proof of lightning and other storm-like qualities that can be heard through the crackling picked up by NASA's Cassini spacecraft. In December of 2016, as Cassini crossed Saturn's rings, it picked up all these cool and wicked sounding cosmic storm sounds. This is a case where we know exactly where this sound and signal were coming from, but to hear a cosmic storm or have a bit of evidence to what it even sounds like on Saturn, that's pretty cool. Probably wicked scary down there, but still cool nonetheless. At number 9, we have sounds of Jupiter. Over the span of its 20 years mission in space, NASA's Cassini spacecraft made a quick pit stop near Jupiter to get a gravitational boost. During its pit stop, the craft actually picked up some radio waves from Jupiter too. And basically what I mean is that they were able to hear what it sounds like on Jupiter. It is very alien-like and different. Along with that, the sound of a Jupiter bow shock was picked up too. The bow shock is the sound that occurs when the sun emits a steady stream of solar wind which is repelled by a string magnetic force. When the two meet, they are converted into thermal energy and make this bow shock reaction. So even though just like our number 10 spot we know where it's coming from, it still makes it quite a little bit scary. Coming in at number 8, we have a mysterious Puerto Rico signal. Back in 2003, researchers from SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, operated a gigantic telescope in Puerto Rico to examine 200 sections of the sky and re-examine areas where they at one point had detected unknown radio signals. During this operation, they noticed that all former radio signals that were once detected were gone. All gone except for one. Not only did this one last signal hang in there, but it had actually gotten even stronger than before. It was coming from in between the constellations of Pisces and Aries, but there's something really strange about that. That is that this is a location that is not known to have planets or stars. So where the freaking hell is this signal coming from? The signal was at a frequency that hydrogen absorbs and creates energy. One of the most basic elements on Earth is hydrogen, so some suspected that it could be a sign of alien life, but once again, as well with most of the others on our list, who the heck knows? At number 7, we have light shifts. In the latter half of 2015, Jason Wright, an astronomer from Penn State, claimed that there were erratic and spontaneous shifts in light coming from a newly discovered star. This star is 1,280 light years away from Earth, and these light shifts were similar to the kind of shift that occurs when something passes in front of a star. Interestingly enough, scientists weren't able to connect this back to any other exoplanet, which is what led Wright to his theory that it could have been a large object or objects like satellites passing in front with the same effect. You know, it doesn't have to be satellites either. It could be Tic Tacs or pyramid-shaped UFOs too. Just saying, you know, because I'm pulling for our alien friends. Coming in at number 6, we have the WOW signal. Back in August of 1977, a radio telescope at Ohio State University detected quite the strange signal. The radio was able to pick up a pulse of radiation that seemed to have been coming from near the constellation of Sagittarius. What's funny is that this signal lasted 37 seconds long, and this signal has become known to be known as the WOW signal. Why? Well, because they were so shocked at the timely length of the signal that there was only one word to describe it, and that was wow. The printout of the telescope was shocking because it was in a band of radio frequencies that are actually banned here on Earth. While many scientists are still skeptical that this was maybe a signal or sign of alien life, you can never rule it out. In science, it should always be the case to study every possible scientific outcome, no matter how crazy. The nearest star from the signal was 220 million light years away, so this is a toughie. So tough that even since 1977, we still don't have the answer. So maybe it's our super smart alien friends after all? Coming in at our halfway point at number 5, we have a zombie star. Yeah, a star that is filled with zombies. All along we thought aliens were real and zombies were fake. We had it all bass-ackwards. I'm just kidding. But back in April of 2020, one of the signals that scientists got back amongst our number 1 spot, so keep watching, came from our own Milky Way galaxy. But this one specific and incredibly strong signal is said to be so strong that it could be picked up on any 4G cell phone at the time. It is also not fully proven, but believed that this signal came from a magnetar, a scientific cosmic name for a zombie star basically. And what do I mean by that? Well, when a star dies, it blows up into a supernova and then afterward collapses into a dense ball. If it becomes dense enough, then it becomes a black hole, and if not, then it turns into a neutron star. A magnetar is just a more powerful version of a neutron star, basically. So it is possible that this strong signal came from the stars of yesterday, a lot of yesterdays ago. At number 4, we have a beam from Proxima Centauri. Back in 2019 in New South Wales, Australia, scientists claimed they have discovered discovered a mysterious beam that appeared to be from the Earth's closest star to the Sun, Proxima Centauri. This is a rather small star and is only around 4.2 light years away from us, which if you ask me still sounds pretty far away, but oh well. This star has an interesting exoplanet that is filled with rocks and is 17% larger than Earth's in its own habitable zone. You know what that means? Water is a possibility on the planet. And you know what that means? Where there is water, there is life. Scientists said that the signal shifted while it was being recorded because of the movement of the planet. And it is not fully explained or known how or why the planet was shifting, but I will tell you one thing, if water is actually there, then we already have our answer. It's aliens, people! Starting us off in our top 3, at number 3 we have HD 164595. How easy of a title is that? Which, by the way, is a name for a planet. Yeah, what a great name. I think it might be Scottish. Anyway, back in 2015, a Russian telescope detected a strong signal from a sun-like star named HD 164595. This star is located in the Hercules constellation and is 95 light years away and is 99% the size of Earth's sun. It has one planet that is the size of Neptune and has a 40-day year. Researchers at SETI, once again, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, have not been able to identify where the signal had come from. Claudio Maccone of the University of Turin in Italy told The Guardian back in 2015, "The power of the signal received is not unrealistic for Type 1 civilizations." Now, what is a Type 1 civilization? Well, basically Earth. So maybe we have Earth-like friends sending us little love notes here and there just from an oddly named star, and if they do live there and exist, I really hope they have a better name for that one other than what us Earthlings gave it. Coming in at number 2, we have the repeating radio burst. Mysterious signals and sounds from space have been known to repeat all the time, but for the first time ever, researchers have noticed a pattern in a series of bursts coming from one source 500 million light years from Earth. Usually these fast radio bursts, or FRBs, are sporadic and untelling, but between September 16th, 2018 and October 30th, 2019, researchers up here in Canada recorded these bursts every 16.35 days. Over the duration of 4 days, this signal would release 2 bursts each hour and then go silent for 12 days. If they're coming in specific patterns, don't you think that means they are coming from another intelligent life source? I sure as hell do. And finally, coming in at number 1 is a signal that is coming to us from our very own Milky Way galaxy. On April 28th of 2020, 2 ground-based radio telescopes detected intense pulse and radio waves from outer space. While it only lasted for a millisecond, for Earth's astronomers, this is huge. This was the very first time a fast radio burst was ever recorded this close to Earth. It was only 30,000 light years away from Earth. Yeah, pretty close, right? I mean, the Canadian Hydro Intensity Mapping Experiment and the Survey for Transient Astronomical Radio Emissions, say that 2 times fast, or CHIME and STARE for short, had no problems whatsoever picking up this millisecond signal. What makes this really exciting is that Earth scientists are getting closer and closer to tracking down where these FRBs are coming from. And now to finally have one from our very own Milky Way galaxy, that's a mega win. Maybe we aren't just alone. Maybe we even have galactic neighbors closer than we originally thought.
Number 10. The Venus Wave. Spotted by the Akatsuki spacecraft in 2015, a massive wave was observed traveling across the surface of Venus. Stretching for 10,000 kilometers, the wave continued up until Venus's cloud tops, where it suddenly became stationary. It is good to note that the average traveling speed of clouds in Venus' upper atmosphere roughly caps out at about 100 meters per second. The source of the wave is undetermined, with theories being tossed around that it might have been caused by a rogue gravity wave, which itself would have been caused by the displacement of a fluid from its preferred position. As Venus is an extremely volatile planet, and no research craft has survived for longer than a couple of minutes on its surface, these claims are difficult to prove, and the secrets of this blue dot remain hidden beneath its swirling clouds. Number 9. Oumuamua. On October 19th, 2017, an object was sighted from the University of Hawaii. Classified as a comet, the object is thin and flat, or roughly 1/4 of a mile long. But more importantly, it was picking up speed. If you don't remember middle school science, an object in motion remains in motion unless acted upon by an object of similar or equal mass. In space, because there is nothing to act upon the object to slow it down, any velocity will be kept until impact. But an increase in velocity doesn't make sense without propellant. So what was moving Oumuamua? Well, the theory goes that it might contain a chunk of solid hydrogen, which was slowly falling off of the object's surface and allowing for an increase in speed. However, studying the comet is completely impossible, as it's the first observed object to fly into our system and then fly back out. So this theory is just kind of unconfirmed, and we may never know where the traveler came from, nor where it did go. Number 8. PSO J318.5-22. Discovered yet again by our friends at the University of Hawaii, PSO J318.5-22 is a rogue planet floating through space without a star for it to orbit. It's estimated to be roughly the size of Jupiter, but as to where it came from, no one has a clue. Theories about, some hoping that it may have been kicked away from its home star due to a gravitational anomaly, but who can say? None but the rogue planet know. Number 7. The Diamond Planet. Discovered in 2004, Janssen is an exoplanet close to the star Cancri A. Years later, the planet was determined to be a carbon planet, a theoretical type of planet with more carbon than oxygen. As a result of this, it is theorized, due to the method of which diamonds are created, that within Janssen could lie an absolute abundance of diamonds. However, getting to it would be difficult. See, Janssen's proximity to the sun is so small that average temperatures are estimated to be around 17,000 degrees Celsius. So good luck getting close enough to snag some stones. Honestly, the scariest thing to me is that someone might actually try this, for reasons that I doubt even the greatest minds could truly comprehend, beyond, I guess, greed. Number 6. The Vampire Star. Halloween's over, but the true horror fans know that it lasts all year long. Not just limited to our solar system, the existence of Hammer horror classic monsters has clearly reached the stars, specifically symbiotic stars. See, when two stars are formed in proximity to one another, their mass will draw in the hydrogen from the other star, which will deplete its life, turning it into a white dwarf. From there, the white dwarf will go supernova, annihilating both in the process. What scientists have difficulty explaining is how such celestial entities exist, and worst of all, how some have survived the supernova. It's hypothesized that Betelgeuse, the star, not the ghost, is what's called a cannibal star, and before we observed it, Betelgeuse must have sucked the life out of another star. So why can we still see Betelgeuse today, despite the fact that the other star would have gone nova? Wait, did I say it 3 times? Number 5. The huge LQG. Quasars are extremely supermassive black holes that are surrounded by accretion disks, which then release their generation of a beam as pure radiation. We'll get into that later. Cool. And slightly terrifying, right? Well, the huge LQG is made up of a cluster of 74 quasars. 74. Originally believed to be impossible, this massive cluster of black holes and radiation defies both science and sense just by its existence. The huge LQG has a rough span of 4 billion light years, easily the largest structure in the universe, and by far larger than our own. Number 4. The Boots Void. Do you know what's more terrifying than something? Nothing. And the Boots Void is just that. Nothing. A region of space where there is simply nothing. And to be clear, this isn't Barnard 68, the dark nebula that eats light. No. This is just nothing. Several galaxies do surround it, but none exist within its center. There's nothing within the void. There may never have been, and there maybe never will be. Or maybe there's just something keeping everything else out. Number 3. The incoming megacomet. Did you know that every year 17,000 meteorites fall to Earth? Now, most of these just burn up in the atmosphere, usually long before they're visible. The ones that can be seen are the ones that are actually dubbed meteors. But what if a meteor couldn't burn up in the atmosphere? Spotted by the Hubble telescope, the comet Bernard-Danieli is currently flying right towards us at around 72,000 miles per hour. 60 miles across, the meteor is roughly half the theorized size of the asteroid responsible for ending the age of the dinosaurs. But nevertheless, this cosmic catastrophe could cause considerable consternation were it to collide with our rock. So When does it get here? Well, don't bother looking up because it isn't gonna come within like a billion miles of us. Even so, if it changes course, even slightly, we could be looking at a pretty dark future. Number 2. Gamma ray bursts. There's a distinct beauty to black holes. They're swirling light collapsing into a mass so dense as to erase light itself. Their byproducts are gamma ray bursts, these streams of light that fire out of what would be visualized as the top and bottom of the black hole. It sort of looks like a gyroscope, only one that, defies physics and erases matter. Well, as it turns out, even the most beautiful parts of this flower can be its deadliest, as gamma ray bursts are explosions of high-intensity radiation that could cook anything in its way in a matter of seconds. So it's a good thing that, stars aren't dying out regularly, and even better that our planet has never been hit by a gamma ray burst before. Oh wait, it actually totally was. Well, the effects wouldn't exactly be, Death Star adjacent. If close enough, the radiation would absolutely be lethal, and close in terms of spatial proximity could be anywhere, honestly. Comforting thought. Number 1. The CMB cold spot. The CMB cold spot was discovered by the Wilkinson Microwave Anisotropy Probe, a device primarily constructed to measure cosmic background radiation and test the theory of the Big Bang. The cold spot was added to a structure that is titled, I'm not joking, the Axis of Evil, a name given to any anomaly that deviates from the Copernican principle. Far larger than the Boots void, temperatures within the cold spot are around 0.00007 Kelvin. The average in space, of course, is about 2.7 Kelvin. What caused the creation of the cold spot is unknown, but physicist Laura Mersini Houghton claimed that it could be an imprint from a parallel universe.
Number 10. Zombie star. While the idea of a human coming back to life and hunting for brains is spooky, to me the knowledge that dead stars can do the same, even the eating each other part, is both scary and exciting. This is Tycho, a former white dwarf, which is a star that has, quote, died and gone supernova, exploding into a fantastic show of cosmic energy and matter with the power and brightness of a billion suns. And usually a white dwarf will stay dead, but not in a binary system where there's more than one star at the center. Sometimes these previously deceased stars can come back to life, and they do this by feeding off the energy and material from their neighboring star and powering themselves back up, not unlike a zombie eating somebody's brains. Scientists believe that this may have to do with what they call dark energy as well, which theoretically makes up about 3/4 of our universe, but since we have yet to truly detect or understand it, these zombie stars will remain a mystery. But they look super cool, right? Number 9. Alien bones. Captured on August 14th, 2014 by the Curiosity rover, this photo appears to show something on the surface of Mars that could chill you to the bone, a femur on the surface of the red planet. Many conspiracy theorists and alien enthusiasts alike hopped onto this to show it as proof that there was once life on Mars, or even that humans had been there before on some sort of secret mission that went awry. NASA has gone on the record to say that it's not a thigh bone, but just a rock that happened to be shaped that way after erosion from wind or water, which we have proven existed at one point. But come on. If it really was a bone, do you think that they'd tell us? Though I'm inclined to go with the scientists on this one, it would be kinda cool if we had proof of aliens on Mars. If you think there are aliens out there, hit the like and subscribe buttons to help us bring you the most amazing videos on them. Number 8. Eye of Sauron. The Rings of Power just finished its first season as I'm recording this video, and since I still have Tolkien on the brain, this photo of the Fomalhaut system made the cut. A relatively young system at 440 million years old. For comparison, our sun is about 4.5 billion years old. Fomalhaut and its surrounding disk of space dust have been the subject of a lot of controversy in the astronomical community. The images captured interest scientists not only because they look like they came straight from Mordor, but because of the zombie planet that has been tricky to find. The photos taken show that the dust ring is not centered around the star, but is shifted and elongated into the eye shape, which indicates something of large mass on the outer parts of the system, which scientists believed could be a Saturn-sized planet. Investigations have been conflicting over the past few years, with researchers believing on and off that the planet exists, and with Hubble images being inconclusive, which is why we call it a zombie planet, because it keeps coming back to life in a way amongst researchers. The system may have gotten its strange ring shape from all of the comet activity as well, with over 2,000 comet impacts daily, many of those comets being over 1 kilometer wide. That would definitely kick up a lot of dust, so one does not simply walk into Fomalhaut. Number 7. Sunken. Okay, I threw this one in because it's currently spooky season while I record this, and having a jack-o'-lantern jack-o'-lantern sun on the list couldn't be passed up. In 2014, the Solar Dynamics Observatory captured this creepy photo of the sun smiling right at us, like its features had been carved right out of a pumpkin. Solar flares and activity on the sun can be quite unpredictable, and the fact that it lined up to look like this is pretty cool. I just hope that there isn't some giant alien up there carving into our sun to decorate their intergalactic porch. But if that's the case, what are we gonna dress up Earth as? If Earth had a Halloween costume, what would it be? Let me know in the comments. Number 6. Greater pumpkin galaxies. Sticking with the Halloween theme, 120 million light years away in the Canis Major constellation, these two galaxies, called NGC 2292 and 2293, have earned a much cooler name, the Greater Pumpkin Galaxies. Because of their orange color and the fact that they look like a jack-o'-lantern, these galaxies doomed to collide in what we will see as slow motion make for a pretty spectacular image. Not to mention that NASA released the photos on Halloween a few years ago. Though it may be a fun Halloween-themed image, there is a scary truth about them. They're on track to collide with each other. And as the two galaxies draw closer, they begin to spin around one another and could eventually form one single spiral galaxy. But when that happens, there will be some cosmic consequences. Things smashing into each other at ludicrous speeds and exploding out into the darkness with the force of many nuclear bombs. But we don't actually know what will happen until it does. While some may say it reminds them of the Great Pumpkin, I would say that it looks more like a 100,000 light year across Jack Skellington. Number 5. The face of Mars. This freaky famous photo was taken by the Viking 1 orbiter in 1976 and shows us what is very clearly a face embedded in the surface of Mars. A massive one at that, judging by the scale of what's around it. It very clearly has two eyes, a nose, and a mouth. Uncanny, really, especially for being what NASA has called a cosmic coincidence, because with enough time and space, literally anything can happen. When investigated again in 2001 with a better camera, it was not to be seen. Was it just a mound of rocks and dirt that was blown or moved away, or was it something more sinister, watching us from the red planet, not knowing that we were finally looking back? Number 4. Black hole in the Milky Way. Black holes, one of the biggest driving forces in the cosmos. These places of pure darkness were once stars that shone bright in the sky, but when they died, instead of going supernova and exploding into a blast of color and energy, they collapsed in on themselves, creating a singularity so dense that it sucks everything around it in, with a force that nothing can escape, not even light. And while this may sound scary, they are incredibly necessary for our understanding of the universe to function. In fact, there are a few in our galaxy, but the biggest is Sagittarius A, the supermassive black hole at the center of the Milky Way. This is the second image ever captured of a black hole, and it's insane that we've developed the technology to be able to find and photograph them. Sag A sits at the center of our galaxy and is the reason why it spins and has its signature spiral shape. But the scary part is that it is not only spinning our galaxy, but consuming it, adding one more way that our galaxy can meet its demise. Not sure I'd rather that or colliding with another galaxy. Either way, none of us are going to be around to see it. Number 3. Hand of God. This is what's known as a pulsar wind nebula, and what you're seeing is a cloud of material that was ejected from a dying star, captured by X-ray telescopes functioning at different energy levels, lower energy detections appearing in red and green, and higher ones in blue. While we can explain what this stellar specter is made of, we can't quite figure out why it takes the shape it does, and NASA is still wondering if the pulsar particles are interacting in a specific way to make it look like a hand. When the new readings were taken, the ones appearing blue, they realized that one part of the hand is actually shrinking at a different speed than the rest, implying that the two areas were physically different, and making us all wonder what the hand is reaching towards. Number 2. Ghost Nebula. Known formally as SH2-136, really rolls off the tongue. This reflection nebula has some pretty startling shapes appearing within it. A reflection nebula does exactly what you think. It reflects light from nearby stars and galaxies. The energy from stars nearby is not strong enough to ionize the gas of the nebula, but it is enough to illuminate the dust and make it visible to us. Looking at the picture, it's a no-brainer why it's earned its much cooler name, the Ghost Nebula. You can see little figures waving from the edge of the space cloud. They even appear to have horns. I'm not sure what that's about, but I'm here for it. Give me all the spooky space specters. Again, this is just one of those cosmic coincidences that we can't explain, and that if we existed at any other place in the universe, we may not see. So we're pretty lucky, I guess. But let's hope our luck holds out for our final entry. Number 1. Roaming black holes. Now, I told you about black holes, those things that suck in and destroy anything that comes near, even light, with no chance to escape. But they are pretty detectable, and we should be able to avoid them since they're such a huge cosmic entity, right? Well, what if I told you that there are many out there that are near impossible to detect? because they're moving. That's right. Known as roaming black holes, these death spheres fly through our universe, devouring everything in their path. Only detectable by fluctuations in mass and light, they were most likely two black holes that attracted each other, then slingshotted off one another and were flung out into space. But here's the kicker. The Hubble telescope actually detected one closer than anyone would want, in our own Milky Way. While pointed near the center of the galaxy at Sagittarius A, a fluctuation in light and space shows that we may have one of these devouring our galaxy, and we would never see it coming until it was too late. So there you go, one of my, and possibly now one of your fears, roaming black holes. Space is crazy and terrifying. It is absolutely baffling and will never cease to impress me the technology and knowledge we have developed in our time as a species to investigate beyond our own planet, especially since at the end of the day, we're all just monkeys with car keys.
Starting off this countdown, we have the alien signal. Back in 2016, we received a signal from a nearby star, and some people believe that it was sent by aliens. So the star is in the constellation Hercules. It's about 95 light years away, which seems far, because it is, but it's relatively close according to the universe's scale. Anyways, this star is said to have at least one planet, and it's roughly the size of Neptune, and it's thought to have the right conditions to support life. So could this planet have life on it? Who knows? But let's talk about this signal. It was so strong that they believed it came from a Kardashev Type 2 civilization. A Type 1 civilization can use and store energy from a nearby star like us, whereas Type 2 can harness the energy from the entire star, meaning it makes that planet more advanced. So it may just be that the signal was sent from extremely advanced life forms. Moving on to number 9, we have the WOW signal. And if you guys are liking this video so far, then smash that like button because it really helps us out. Also, don't know what that was, but hit the like button for me, thanks. On the night of August 15th, 1977, an Ohio State University radio telescope received a quite fascinating signal. The signal lasted 72 seconds and it was intense, more intense than anything in the sky that night. Now the signal did not repeat, and over the years people have tried to find it again, but all attempts have failed. It was like a one-off. The signal is said to have come from deep space, in an area that is relatively free of noise from other objects. Now it was given the name the WOW signal because when reviewing the data, Jerry Amen was so shocked by it that he wrote "wow" next to it. Still to this day we have no clue what caused the signal, but it was pretty significant. Wow, Owen Wilson, wow. Moving on to number 8, we have the SOYUZ 11. On June 6, 1971, 3 Soviet cosmonauts launched into space. Their goal was to make a record for the longest time spent in space. Sadly, the mission failed and they became the first people to die in space. While in space, their breathing ventilation valve ruptured. All 3 sadly died from decompression. The last message they sent to Earth was them trying to scream for help, but they couldn't, so all they heard was them gasping for air and then weird popping sounds, which is from the air in their lungs expanding from the drop in air pressure and being exposed to the vacuum of space. The worst part? The spacecraft survived re-entry into Earth and landed perfectly, but when the hatch was open, they found the dead crew inside, their faces filled with dark blue splotches and blood dripping from their ears and noses. Moving on to number 7, we have the 13 signals. Back in 2019, the Chime Observatory in British Columbia, Canada picked up a very strange signal. They observed 13 of the same signals. These are what they call FRBs, or fast radio bursts. You're probably like, psh, okay, what's the big deal? Well, all of the 13 bursts came from the same location and they were 1.5 billion light years from Earth. And detecting that is super uncommon. It's only been seen once before. So 13 at the same location and time, that's suspicious. A number of people think that it was someone or something signaling for help. Could it be life on another planet? Aliens? Who knows? In our 6th spot today, we have the pattern. This next signal is pretty terrifying, and that's because it appears like clockwork. So basically, the signal will chime for 4 days, then after the 4th day, it stops making that weird noise. It stops for 12 days before picking up again and doing the same thing over and over again. It's thought that maybe on the days where it's not sending a signal towards us, it's actually sending a signal in another direction. Some believe that this is coming from aliens or other life forms, whereas others think that it's a star sending out radio waves and then orbiting by something that could be blocking the signal for 12 days and then returning to a position where we can hear it. It's just incredibly mysterious and we don't know what to make of it. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with the mysterious flashes, another very strange and mysterious signal that we have yet to figure out. So astronomers have detected a signal that will beam to Earth for 90 days before being silent for 67 days. They noticed that this pattern would repeat every 157 days. Its cycle is that precise. The signal is being sent from a distant galaxy and this pattern has been happening since 2016. Furthermore, the signal is quite strong. It unleashes as much energy as our sun does in a century in just a few milliseconds. Like, what the actual hell is going on? Theory goes that aliens have created a powerful machine that has the capability of sending out this strong signal, but then it needs 157 days to recharge itself before continuing on. But who knows? In our 4th spot today we have the eerie sounds. This is quite possibly one of the creepiest things I have ever heard. So NASA decided to gather all of the creepy sounds that they have ever heard and put it all together on SoundCloud for us to enjoy. It literally sounds like aliens communicating with each other or something like that. NASA refers to these sounds as moans and whistles from the universe. Isn't that just great? Moving on to number 3, we have the pulse of radio waves. Just recently on April 28, 2020, 2 telescopes detected an intense pulse of radio waves. Now the signal only lasted for a millisecond, but astronomers were blown away by this and said it's a major discovery. Why? Well, this is the first time a fast radio burst has ever been detected so close to Earth. The signal came from the Milky Way. In fact, Chime wasn't even looking for it, but it was so loud and clear that they caught it anyways. They said that this burst is helping them discover what these things are and where they're coming from. Maybe we'll find out if there's aliens out there sooner than we thought. Moving on to number 2, we have the lost cosmonaut. A lot of people refer to this next story as an urban legend, but with the facts I'm about to provide you with, it might just change your mind. So legend goes that back in the 1950s to 60s, 2 brothers were working as amateur radio operators. One day they were listening in on space when they heard what sounded like a cosmonaut returning to Earth's orbit. They managed to record her final moments. Her spacecraft was malfunctioning, and in the recording the woman speaking in Russian is pleading for help, saying it's getting hot, because the craft was burning up. Turns out that her spacecraft caught on fire and she was frantically sending messages hoping someone would hear it and somehow help her. But the Soviet Union just sent her up there and left her to die. Now the Soviets denied this, saying that it was an unmanned craft that burned. But the thing is, a lot of cosmonauts died during the space race, and they refused to reveal a number of those deaths. Half the time they would just cover them up. So this recording could be real. And in our number 1 spot today we have the final words. In 1967, Soviet test pilot, aerospace engineer, and cosmonaut Vladimir Komarov was sent into space on the SOYUZ 1. However, the mission did not go according to plan and the spacecraft was extremely faulty. But Vladimir didn't really have a say in going on this mission. He kind of felt forced to do so. He said that if he didn't go, then the backup pilot would have had to go, which was his best friend, and he said he didn't want to do that to his friend, so he went and sacrificed his life instead. He knew the mission was going to fail, and he was right. Once he began to orbit Earth, a number of issues began to happen, such as the antennas not opening up properly. The worst came to him on his re-entry into Earth. On April 24th, 1967, during his re-entry, the parachutes failed to open. The signals he sent to Earth were haunting. On his way down, translators heard him say heat was rising in the capsule. He then began to curse the people who put him inside of this botched spaceship, saying they killed him. His final moments were him cursing and crying in rage. Imagine hearing that and listening to a man's final words. It's very haunting.